For those of you who don't know me, my name is Leung. When I was asked to talk about my great crushes in life, I thought, where do I begin? I mean, there are so many, because for most of my life, I've been an expert in unrequited love. When people ask me to describe what's my type, I say, unobtainable. And what's more unobtainable than a crush who is fictional? Ariel, the Little Mermaid, was probably my first crush. I know what you're thinking. How attractive would their mixed-race children be? Everybody knows it. Half Chinese, half sardine children are the cutest babies. Oh, you just want to eat them. Half of them. I imagine Ariel and I, a mixed-race, mixed-species couple, holding hands in a dream, or Cory Bernardi's nightmare. But sadly, an animated Disney princess cannot give you love back, and I moved on. Besides, there were other fish in the sea, metaphorically, if not anatomically. When I was a bit older, I fell madly for a woman named Amelie, from the French movie Amelie. Amelie was a waif that floated around Paris, wrapped in vintage dresses, and had the kind of face that launched 1,000 haircut Pinterests. She was the epitome of Gallic romantic whimsy. If you haven't seen the film, just imagine the love child of a French baguette having sex with a copy of Frankie magazine. That's Amelie. Soon after Amelie, there was a spate of unrequited infatuations. Zooey Deschanel in 500 Days of Summer playing the quirky girl with a neat fringe who helps the lead guy sort his shit out. Then Kirsten Dunst from Elizabethtown, who played the bubbly girl who helps the lead guy sort his shit out. And Natalie Portman from Garden State, the kooky girl who teaches the lead guy, Zach Braff, who is incidentally also the writer, Zach Braff, and director of the movie, Zach Braff, to sort his shit out by listening to the music of The Shins. This will change your life, she says, handing her headphones to Zach Braff, the lead actor, director, and writer of the film. So just like Zach Braff, I started listening to The Shins. And then one day, someone told me that my fictional crushes have all one thing in common. Lawrence, you were attracted to a trope, said my real-life girlfriend, who ironically wore a vintage dress at the time. They were all Manic Pixie Dream Girls, and my girlfriend shoved her laptop full of feminist blogs and articles in my face faster than you can say Jezebel think piece. First coined by the film critic Nathan Rabin, the Manic Pixie Dream Girl is a character that exists solely in the fevered imaginations of sensitive writer-directors to teach broodingly soulful young men to embrace life and all of its infinite mysteries and adventures. It goes on. The Manic Pixie Dream Girl is usually characterized by a collection of cutesy, vivacious, whimsical mannerisms, not so much a person, but a function. They rarely have any narrative goals or any complex issues of their own. To put in simple terms, their only purpose is to help the male love interest become more self-aware. I closed her laptop. My nameless girlfriend was right. And I became more self-aware. I realised I was problematically attracted to two-dimensional fantasy characters whom were just a cute mixtape of track list of quirky traits thought up by beta male authors. Was I buying into the subtle misogyny of Hollywood screenwriters? Damn it, I'm not as progressive as I thought I was. And worst of all, it meant that I was lame as Zach Braff. Then in 2012, I met Ruby Sparks. Yes, another vivacious girl in an American indie movie wearing a cardigan and a fringe. But this time, I promised myself I would not develop another crush. No, not me. After all, I know all about the emotional trap of this lazy trope. But little did I know, so did the movie. Ruby Sparks is a film about a frustrated male writer who attempts to break his writer's block by creating a fictional free-spirited woman that he calls Ruby Sparks, the girl of his dreams. Okay, so far I know this familiar playbook. One day, Ruby jumps off the page and enters his life as a real flesh and blood person. Making things stranger is the fact that she's unaware that she's actually a fictional character and that her actions and feelings are dictated by whatever the author writes. The tagline of the film is, "She is out of his mind." Nice try, movie. Very quirky, very whimsical, very meta. But I'm not going to fall for this one. Then all of a sudden, the trope is, well, busted. The relationship turns to shit when the stubborn writer doesn't listen to her and doesn't come to terms with his toxic, jealous personality and never achieves self-awareness. He never truly realises that he's an entitled, controlling cock until it's too late when the emotionally battered Ruby vanishes from his existence. And yet, his final act is to write about his own heartbreak, freeing him from his writer's block, and in turn becomes a bestseller. Thus, the movie ends with a bitter afterthought that, in reality and in fiction, he still exploits Ruby Sparks, and the myth of the dream girl is just a myth. As you probably gathered, this is not a film written by Zach Braff. In fact, it's not written by a male screenwriter. It's penned by Zoe Kazan, the actress who plays the title character of Ruby Sparks. Kazan wanted to satirise the Manic Pixie Dream Girl trope, its problems, and even examine whether the trope itself is reductive too. But here's where it gets problematic for me. Because knowing this, I still kind of developed a crush on her. But who was I infatuated with? Was it the dream girl Ruby Sparks, or was it the real-life writer-actress Zoe Kazan? Is objectifying a writer's brain wrong? Unnatural? What would Corey Bernardi say? In interviews, Zoe Kazan talks about whether the Manic Pixie Dream Girl is a label that can perhaps be reductive or even itself misogynist, arguing that lumping a lot of offbeat female heroines into the same pile erases their identity. She explains it best in an interview in Vulture, which she says, "I think that's part of what makes the movie Ruby Sparks what it is that it's about how dangerous it is to reduce a person down to an idea of a person." Ultimately, that's what a crush is, falling in love with the idea of a person. Whether our crushes or the affections be real life or fictional, our act of having a crush says less about that person and more about us. Perhaps it's best to listen now to the advice of a singing crab named Sebastian, who once told a redhead mermaid, "Get your head out of the clouds and back into the water where it belongs. Under the sea, under the sea. Darling, it's better, down where it's wetter. Take it from me." Up on the shore, they all pin all their hopes, falling for every cute, whimsical trope. Down here, there's no stereotyping, just Tinder swiping under the sea. Thank you.
Visit wheelercentre.com for the best in books, writing and ideas from Melbourne, Australia and the world.